Dr. Steve Maxner is in the house. Thanks for being here on the program with us.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
You bet. Okay, now, first off, we're going to talk about the salute, the West Texas Salute to Veterans. It's like a military appreciation day, and then we're going to kind of rewind and back up through your credentials and stuff because you're part of the Vietnam Center at Texas Tech.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, I'm here this morning really in my capacity as a member of the Veterans Advisory Committee for the City of Lubbock. And the city created that committee about a year ago, and the primary purpose is to help get a lot of information to the city council about veteran and military issues. We got a lot of veterans who've come back from the recent wars in Iraq and Afghanistan with a number of important challenges and issues that they're facing and their families are facing with PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and transition issues, when they come back from the military, going back into civilian life and things like that. Mm-hmm. And so the city council really wanted to make sure we were addressing those as well as we could as a community. And so our advisory committee, 13 people, we come together once a month and we kind of collect all the information we can and advise the council on ways that we can make Lubbock a better community for our military and our veterans.
Okay, as far as the actual salute to veterans,
Yes, sir.
What's going to happen at the event?
Well, this is going to be a kind of an all-day event, and again, it's one of those things we wanted to make sure that we said thank you to our military and veterans here in the community. And so at 10 o'clock, we're inviting the public to come on out, and there's going to be music. We've got a veterans information fair that we've organized, so there's going to be a lot of different organizations out there with information for veterans and their families. We're going to have some fun activities for the families to include kids. So we've got Body Works is going to have a spider climb out there so the kids can have something to do. We've got the City of Lubbock Parks and Rec office. They're going to have face paint and stuff like that. We're going to have 2 helicopters out there from the Vietnam Center collections. We've got a Cobra and a Huey. They're going to be out there on display for folks to look at. And so we're going to have a lot of different things going on where people can just kind of sit down and relax. We're inviting people to just bring a blanket and a chair and come out and enjoy the day.
Now, when you say 10 a.m., come on out to where?
This is going to be out at the Buddy Holly Recreation Center on North University at Cesar Chavez. So when you go out there, you get that nice little lake that's out there, and you turn left, and there's you go down to that little area there.
So it'll be on the west. It'll be on the west side of University.
That is correct.
Okay.
West side.
Okay. So this is an all-day event, and
That's
it
right.
lasts until
About 5 o'clock. We're going to have a lunch program. We've got Lubbock National Bank is going to be out there, and they're going to be cooking hot dogs, and we're going to have a lunch program where we have recognition for the veterans, but we're going to have Don Caldwell Entertainment out there, and they're going to be providing an inspirational and patriotic program, and we're going to recognize all the different groups of veterans who are present.
Nice.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Sounds like a
ought to
fun
be a
time.
good time. Yeah.
It should be.
And
It
a
should be
great time
lot
for
of fun.
veterans to kind of meet and greet each other and
That's
get
right.
some information on
That's right.
some opportunities available for them.
That's right. In fact, we've got some folks who have sponsored the event, and just so they can have a table out there, and they have employment opportunities, for example, for some veterans. And so I want to make sure that we're recruiting and employing our veterans in Lubbock as well.
Right.
Nice. Okay, so you are part of this advisory committee that was appointed by City Council. What's kind of like the cross section of that committee?
Well, right now it's composed of a really interesting group of committee members from the court system. We've got Judge Drew Farmer, for example, who's one of the judges here in Lubbock County. We've got representation from the different organizations that work a lot with veterans, like the Vietnam Center and Archive at Texas Tech. We've got mental health professionals on the committee, Dr. Heather West. We've got VRCG, which is Star Care, part of the MHMR program to help veterans with certain issues. So it's a really interesting, the VA, of course. So it's an interesting cross section of different professionals and skill sets. So we're kind of looking at a lot of different things from a lot of different angles.
That's interesting. Kind of a collaboration of people that are kind of in all the, I guess, businesses and industries and the dynamic that would be helping people on a regular basis anyway.
Absolutely. Another good example is we've got representation from the Small Business Administration. So most of the group we're professionals, and we are all in some way working with veterans on a fairly regular basis, trying to help them, trying to preserve their history, or work with them in mental health, or work with them in medical care. We've got Annie Sobel, for instance, from Texas Tech, She's a retired admiral and works is a physician, works with not just the university but also HSC, and so we got a lot of different perspectives there that kind of are trying to tackle all those different issues that our veterans are facing.
Yeah. Are these is this event not only for veterans, but veterans' families? I mean, if their guy or woman did not come back home?
Absolutely. And in fact, it's for anyone who has, a family member who is either a veteran or was in the military. It's a very broad kind of invitation. We want to make sure that we have as many folks out there as possible, focusing mostly on veterans, their families, the current military. Of course, we've got the Reserve Center and all the reserve guys out there, and so we want to make sure we get as many of those folks out there.
Well, I guess anybody who had a family member that was in a previous war is invited to attend?
Absolutely.
Or
absolutely.
Just a member of the public?
Yes, yeah. We're not turning anybody away. We really do want to stay as focused as possible on current military veterans and their families, but we're welcoming the community out there as well.
Okay. All right, now, on the flip side of your coin, you're also part of the Vietnam Center at Texas Tech University, and for all practical purposes, in short, you're a historian.
Yes, sir, that's right. As the director of the Vietnam Center and Archive, I kind of look over the whole project, and my background is in military history.
Okay. How do you see things changing over the years, not just the technology, but as far as what's happening to families and the way that veterans have been handling this? Really, in this day and age, really we've just identified PTSD. This stuff's been around forever, hasn't it?
It sure has. It used to be referred to by different names: combat stress or combat trauma, shell shock. Over the decades, we've had different names for what we now refer to as post-traumatic stress disorder. I think one of the so that's a constant. That has been a historical constant. And in fact, you can even when you read things like the Odyssey, and you're looking back thousands of years, there's evidence of post-traumatic stress disorder in ancient soldiers. But what we see today, I think one of the differences, if you will, generationally, is we've got so many veterans who have gone back and forth to the theater in the Middle East, to Iraq and Afghanistan, multiple tours, and that constant buildup of those issues and the trauma, the stress, and everything else. That's compounded, and they've done studies to show that over time it continues to build and build and build. And that's one of the challenges I think a lot of the younger veterans today from Iraq and Afghanistan are facing.
Wow. That's
and then when they do get home, are they ever guaranteed that they won't have to go back? Or do they kind of live with that, well, I may still be called up?
That's right. And absolutely. And the uncertainty of, when they come home, some of them have even been refused, their discharges. So we've got veterans who come home and they think, okay, I've done my service, I'm finished.
Done.
But the military, there's a clause in all the contracts that says, well, you basically you're serving at the pleasure of the U.S. military, and
Right.
they don't have to let you go.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I think there's a lot of uncertainty in their futures and what they can plan for themselves, because they could be recalled at any time.
And that's very stressful for the entire family.
Absolutely.
And so even if you're, and relatively speaking, there's a guy that we actually had here on the program that came back. He used to work on cargo escorts. And the thing is even when you're discharged, you can actually be called back, and it's not an ask, hey, do you want to come back? It's like
a command.
You're coming back.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
That's just, and he was
Our
pretty
military
stressed out about
families
that.
sacrifice so much.
They do indeed. And that's why we want to have this day. We sit down and we say, come on out, enjoy your day, enjoy yourselves. Here's some information that might help you with some of these transition issues. But more than anything else, thank you.
Right.
Here's a big thank you for all you've done for us.
Sure.
Okay, West Texas Salute to Veterans this Saturday, 10 a.m. down in the Buddy Holly Rec area. It's on the west side of University. Starts at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. to 5.
Dr. Steve
Thank
Maxner,
you.
thanks for being with
Well,
us.
thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate it.